Welcome to PAB 2010.
Hi. Okay, kind of like John Meadows, I've been through this time and time again, and it's all just gelled for me in the last little bit, and I would say thanks to all those people who've spoken earlier today and last night and whom I've spoken to and met with. Not only today, but over the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years since I've been involved in the broader social media community. I'm going to speak about online and offline relationships and finding your sweet spot. So how much time do you think about being online and offline and how they relate and how they're relevant to one another? We're all sitting in our basements, sitting behind our computer screens all day, right? We're really antisocial. No, we're all here because we know that there's a relationship between our passion for creating content online and what happens offline in the real world. Let me tell you a bit about how I got started. So I need the mic. So I agonized for about 18 months. I was reading blogs and consuming RSS feeds like crazy and studying all about social media in a very academic way in my job. But I knew I really had to shit and get off the pot, as Shel Holtz was saying in my ear all the time in his podcast, and launch a blog. But I didn't do anything until I attended my first geek dinner and met real people creating real content online. And within a week, Bargainista was launched. And then my life had changed, and it's never been the same since, and I haven't looked back, and I've had no regrets. Andrea spoke to us all this morning about the power of podcasting. And just to show the power of how you can build real life relationships with people who are listening to you in your community, I'd been listening to Inside PR, a public relations podcast that at the time was exclusively Canadian. Now it's extended a little bit. And Martin Waxman came on board almost 2 years ago as another member of the team. And I hadn't met him. And I'm very protective about my LinkedIn account and linking. Oh, gotta go real fast. And linking and connecting with people whom I don't have real life relationships with. But I felt like I knew Martin because every week, for almost a year at that point, he was speaking to me in my ear. And so there was something about the intimacy of podcasting in developing those real life relationships. And since then, we've become real life friends, and we've even done some work together. But now, I'm going to get a little bit more personal now, so I might have to read a bit and trying to get too emotional. But 10 years ago, prior to us talking about social media or social media platforms, I learned I was very high risk for breast cancer. I have the breast cancer gene. I spent a crazy amount of time online participating in online communities with support for higher risk women, and after a approximately 3-year period of taking preventative measures, I was pretty much risk-free and ripe for social media. I wanted to put it all behind me, and I did so for 2 years of creating content and building all kinds of wonderful relationships online and off. But it was really strange for me because I felt there was this whole other side of me that nobody knew, you know, with all these great people I was meeting, and many of you are here today. So I kind of started to feel like I had to do something to share my story. I wanted to talk about it, just not so much because I felt this need from a therapeutic point of view, but I just felt like there's a point where I wanted to be a bit more transparent. And I woke up the morning of May 24th, 2008. Coincidentally, it was also my older son's bar mitzvah. And I always used to say in my head, the reason I'm going to do the things I do to protect myself from getting sick is because I want to be here for that day. Sure enough, the Globe and Mail published a front page story on genetic testing in women with BRCA that day. And I felt it was time for me to tell my story, and I went on Twitter and I crowdsourced a bit, and Matthew Ingram, who at the time was working for the Globe and Mail, was the one who really helped me and encouraged me to be a little more transparent about that issue. And I had befriended Susan Reynolds from Boobs on Ice and Katie Payne, so I told my story. And the amount of support that I had was really overwhelming. I was just totally dumbfounded. I think Bob LeDrew was actually one of the first people who commented on the blog post. And through that, I think I've really, been able to connect and help other women going through similar things, and like Andrea, dealing with breast cancer issues. And I really commend you for sharing your challenges and triumphs and helping so many other women through We Can Rebuild Her, Andrea. Thank you very much. And so I just want all of you to understand, and I'm going to cut a little bit short here, about the importance of creating online content and really realizing some of your offline real-life goals. It doesn't necessarily have to be about monetizing. It's about meeting real people and really treasuring those relationships. And I'm going to close with a tweet that I read this afternoon from Mayor Swallow, aka Etiquette Bitch. At Scarborough Dude is right. It's not all about the workshops. It's about the people you meet and love. PAB 2010. So thanks, guys. And just remember, you're all here for one another.
Thanks, Eden.